The year is 2016. Brexit, Donald Trump gets elected President of the United States, and I'm in Japan. One event from that year, however, has stuck with me since the first time I heard of it. The Hoboken train crash. The New Jersey transit system is the third busiest passenger rail in the United States, with New York's Grand Central and MTA Metro North in first and second. The Hoboken terminal is New Jersey's busiest line, as it is the transit hub to New York City. During the morning rush hour on September 29th of 2016, at 8:38 a.m., a commuter train crashed into the platform at Hoboken Station. 144 passengers on board, including the crew, were injured during the crash. Luckily though, most of these injuries were minor, although 2 people stayed in the hospital overnight, and there was one fatality. That was attorney Fabiola de Kroon, who was knocked in the head by falling debris from the ceiling. Not too long after the impact, an official investigation was launched by the National Transit Safety Board, or NTSB. The line was already under audit since June of 2016 by the Federal Railroad Administration because of several reports of safety violations. Remember how I said I couldn't get this incident out of my head? Well, it's not because of the fact that America has absolutely abysmal infrastructure standards, or even the fact that people got injured. It's because of what happened on the day before. The day before the crash, a nearby NBC affiliate, WKTV, was interrupted by an emergency alert. The message stated, "Would you, could you, on a train, wait for further instructions?" After this strange broadcast alert, the station would tweet that it was a false alert and that there was no credible hazardous materials warning. Later, they explained on their website that there was an internal test that wasn't meant for public release. They claimed FEMA accidentally issued the test warning with a code that would release the message to the public automatically. Remember how the day before, WKTV put out a message saying that FEMA issued a test alert? Well, the day of the crash, soon after it happened, they sent out another message saying that FEMA let them know that there was no test message. They were hacked. Other stations around the country would end up getting hacked around the same time, but none of them had an incident happen right afterward. During the investigation of the crash, witnesses who were on the platform said the train never slowed down as it approached the station, jumped a barrier, and ran right into the wall. By the time this crash happened, it was very common for trains to have what's called PTC, or positive train control, which gradually slows down a train as it approaches a station, but unfortunately this was one train that didn't have it. Also, investigators would interview the conductor and engineer of the train, and oddly, neither of them had any memory of the crash happening. This train was equipped with a train version of a black box. A black box is an incredibly durable recording device that keeps audio and other logs on planes and is used to help investigate crashes. One box on this train was damaged beyond use, but the other showed 38 seconds before the crash. The train sped from 8 miles to 21 miles per hour. The box then shows that the conductor tried to brake 1 second before impact, but due to the size and weight of the train, 1 second is not enough time to come to a stop. Even moving at 8 miles per hour, the train would need several more seconds to stop safely. I know that it seems suspicious with the message on TV the day before the crash and the acceleration of the train right before the train should be pulling into the station, but when looking into this is around the time I started to realize that this is probably just another story of government incompetence, because the attorney for the engineer argued and then proved that the engineer had undiagnosed sleep apnea, which is something that New Jersey was supposed to test for. But get this, they didn't think that a crash was possible. I mean, yeah, for trains, they're on tracks, so it's not as likely as, say, a bus, but it's still a possibility. There's a reason why they have these human operators on the trains. That's because, you still need to turn and make sure that the train's operating properly, make sure that there's no obstructions on the tracks. So a sleep apnea test is part of this process. And as the investigation closed, they came to agree that, yeah, New Jersey fucked up and didn't properly test their employees for sleep apnea. And as a result, 144 people got injured and one person passed away. After all, New Jersey Transit was already under investigation for other safety violations, and it seems valid to conclude that they didn't comply with sleep apnea testing guidelines. They didn't seem to think crashes were likely a risk, even though there were other similar incidents before this one. Major structural damage happened as a result of the crash, with burst water pipes and a partially collapsed roof. Full service at the Hoboken station finally resumed almost a month later on October 17th, with the approaching speed limit being reduced from 8 miles per hour to 5. Trains also had to be accompanied by an additional crew member as they entered the station. While I find this very, very creepy, I still wonder if this could be a coincidence. After all, the railroad authorities were already investigating New Jersey for various safety violations, so something catastrophic happening wasn't impossible. For God's sake, they didn't even think a crash was a possibility. Also, Green Eggs and Ham is one of the most famous Dr. Seuss books, so it could have been intended as a joke. We also know that alert systems can be hacked. FEMA warned last year that if system software isn't updated by broadcasters, it can be very easy to hack into the program. A company called Digital Alert Systems made a patch, but if it isn't installed, that risks vulnerability. Just like if you don't update your phone, your digital wallet is at risk. There's been other hacks that were obviously jokes, like this one warning of zombies. The signals themselves also have flaws that could lead someone to figure out issuing their own kind of alerts. Sort of like when people used to play tones on payphones to bypass the payment requirement. So we have this very strange crash that happened with some weird messages and also an undiagnosed sleep disorder. Was this a planned attack or was this just dumb, stupid incompetence? It was dumb, stupid incompetence with a incredibly terrible coincidence. I think this is kind of like what happens with The Simpsons, where people will pore over all the episodes and say, hey, The Simpsons predicted this, or they predicted Donald Trump winning president, or they predicted flying cars. That's not really a thing yet, but shut up. So my point with that is just the fact that we know that other stations were hacked around this time, and with that being the case, they're going to make up these different messages for these different stations and try to freak people out or just play around with them. So it stands to reason that eventually one of these messages would reflect real life. It's just, unfortunately, it was a really bad scenario. And one that, back when I first heard about it, like I said throughout this video, I was really freaked out, and now I'm not anymore. I'm just, I have more reason to believe what everybody says about the government being incredibly stupid. I mean, they put these people in charge of and responsible for other people's lives, the passengers that ride their trains daily. And the fact that they can't even think that a crash would be possible, of course it would. It's being driven by a person. And they didn't test for sleep apnea. And if they did, people wouldn't have gotten injured, that person wouldn't have passed away, and I wouldn't be making this video, which I like making things, but if this video didn't exist and those people got to where they were going that day, I'd be okay with that. But what do you think? Do you think that this was planned out and this is just some sort of cover by making more alerts across the country? Or do you think the same sort of thing that I do, that this was just a whole series of bad timing with the messages and the government incompetence? Please, let me know down below. Hey, if you made it this far, this is the end of the video, but don't turn off yet. I wanted to take a brief moment to mention thank you for taking the time out to watch a brand new channel. As somebody who watches a lot of YouTube and even has YouTube Premium, I know what it's like to go from a channel that has millions upon millions of views and subscribers to one that is very new. I know how jarring that is. So thanks for giving me that support. I also wanted to take this time to let you know that I do take requests, and I would love to grow my list of video ideas. It's long already, but the more the merrier. And if you have any other ideas for what I can do to either to improve or other types of content, I've been considering maybe doing some live streams, whether they're games or if it's just talking on a live stream about strange topics. Maybe we could do something like what the Lore Lodge does and make a video and then stream soon after the video comes out and sort of talk about it for a while and then do a Q&A. The channel might be a little small for that, but if you are willing to tune in, I'd be willing to try it. Alright, well, thank you, and I'll see you next time.